Hello guys, welcome to another Atari video where this one's going to be actually in basic programming. I'm going to teach the concepts of how to create your own player missile graphics within obviously basic here. So I've got a program here running in the background and I'm going to demonstrate that here in just a minute. What player missile graphics I actually allow you to do, oh, these screens changing colors. Okay, so what player missile graphics allow you to do is create your own individual characters, and I'm going to show you an example here. And as always, I'll show you the book first. I'll use my page here, 181. So this is the book where I'm using a lot of my player missile graphics. I have this on my website. There's there's a link to a website there where you can go and you can view all the kind of books for computes and any of the other Atari books that they created in those days. So, right here, you see these little drawings right here? This is called player, let me get this in a little bit better. There's drawing 1, drawing 2. This is player missile graphics. Basically, you can create your own individual designs with these kind of things using the graph paper which I was showing you on my earlier example. I had this one the other day, but this is the one I've created recently. I haven't put him on the screen, but we're going to probably add him in later. It's a replication of what you just saw with the cowboy here, and I just kind of cut off the head and just used the man part. So notice also on this example here, let me get it back in here again. Oh, come on camera. Is you can make them bigger. You can make them 8 across. That's the total the length you can make them, but you can make the height pretty long. It can actually go up to 256 characters in length. That's actually 0 to 256. I think it's 255. So this one is I don't know how tall this one is. Maybe about 16 in height or something. But you can create your own length of them. You don't have to have a specified length. They look a lot better when you make them larger. And that's what this program is doing right here. So I'm going to kind of well, before I go into that, actually wanted to show you this. This will explain what the programs here are doing in just a minute. This is just on the next page in the book here. So look at this example right here. Actually, let's see, right here at the top it says animation with player missile graphics. And you see where it says PMBASE unused drawing storage. And right below that it says PMBASE plus 256. PMBASE plus 512, PMBASE plus 768, PMBASE plus 1024, and so on, all the way up to 2048. Those are all the kind of players you can set up within, well, you start with players here within Atari. So you got you got 4 players there, and then you got the missiles in general. So you can set up a total of 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you through what I've done here in this program. I need to make some room. My desk is getting so crowded. Like a tornado hit this area. Okay, so I'm going to angle that in a little bit and just need to readjust this screen here again so it doesn't look so lopsided. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so it's going to be kind of hard to work here now, but let me in here. Atari's like way over here. So, in this program, I think that's about the best way to really show you. Here, in this program, basically, this is just setting it up in graphics mode 0. If you watch my other basic videos, graphics 0 is this right here in Atari. You have up to, I did say 13 graphics modes, but there's actually 14, so excuse me. So you set up graphics 0. This next line here changes the background color of this screen to red. You can change this to any number from 0 to 255. Pay attention to this next line here. It says PM equals peak 106 minus 16. This is allowing, the way to explain this is when you're setting up player missile graphics, you need to define an area in memory where you can actually store this. So what this is doing in a safe place. This is actually finding a safe place in memory to store it, so it's basically moving it back 16, I think that's bytes or whatever in memory. Maybe it's pages, I think it's pages or something. And it gives it a place where you can actually safely store it, so it's not going to overwrite screen data and other things that can actually be, like this display list and stuff that can actually be stored in your computer program. This next line here is kind of the initialization of where to locate the player missile graphics in memory. So I've been showing this in other videos as well. I'll just also look again. Right here. So the map in the Atari book is one I've been referring to a lot. So I'm going to look up this address right now and kind of put that on the screen to show you what this is doing right here with 54279. It's right here. Let me give it a minute to focus here. Move back a little bit. Okay, right there it says MSB of the player missile base address used to locate the graphics for your players and missiles. And basically this is just telling you a safe place where you can store them, and you use this to define the address of where they're going to begin. You write down there on the next paragraph, it says your player missile graphics must always begin on the 1K boundary. That's 1000, by the way. And you can subtract 4. In this case I've used 16, so it's a 16K boundary is what I'm basically using here. And it depends on other things you would set it up. In this example in the book though, if you look below here, let me get back right there, they actually use 8. Mine is going back a little further because I'm using a little bit more players than they are. Generally they're only using 1, while I'm going to be using, well, we'll see how many we can get, maybe 4. And I'll show you the missiles in general. My screen is getting all funny again here. I think it's my monitor, it sits kind of funny. Either that or my camera's, okay, I think that's pretty good there. So back to where we were. The next line here, after we've initialized them, you would set up a variable. I just called mine PMBASE, that's player missile base, or where you want to store them, and you take that location of the starting memory where you defined it at and multiply it by 256. And that'll allow you to set it up in a safe place where it's going to find it on the screen. Okay, the next line here, I think this is the activation, but let me check that to make sure. 53277, comma 3. So this one, yeah, this turns them on right here. So if you look down here in this paragraph, right there is the number, first of all. And if you look down, where did I just see it? To invoke player missile authorization and turn off both players' missiles, use 53277, 0. And then you use 1 to turn on, well, turn on the missiles, it says you would use 1 decimal. Look at the decimal. To turn on the players, you would use 2. And the other one is just something different. So basically, in this case, you can use 3. I was using 3 to go ahead and turn them all on. That's 0 to 3, by the way. So that would initialize all 4 of them. The next one here is defining the colors. I've showed this in another video, but the 704, 244 is the color of your first player missile graphic on the screen. And let me go ahead and run this so I can show you exactly what's going on here. I said we'll modify it as we go through it. It's clearing out the memory, so it takes a little bit of time to start it up. Turn off this light. I don't know if you can see it. No, my screens don't work very well here. I'm going to move this TV back a little bit more too. That line is not fake, by the way. That is actually being drawn on the screen here. We're going to modify this line though and turn it into something else. Up here I just got a little funky looking spaceship that was actually the ball character I used in my game. Kind of put a little end on it to make it look like a flying saucer or something. So let's go back to the program. Now you saw that. Okay, so remember this is the player missile base, where you're going to initialize from the memory. And at this point, if you remember in the book here, I'll pull it back up here just to make sure we stay consistent. It says PMBASE plus 1024 plus 50. And back in the book here, come on, I suppose I turned the light out or something. Well, right there. You see where it says player 0? Let me hold it this way, maybe that'll happen. There it is. It says plus 1024, and below it says plus 1280, plus 1536, plus 1792. Those are the player missile areas that we're going to use when we start initializing the player missile graphics. So the first one's going to begin at the boundary of 1024, And then this is just setting it down 50 characters from the top of the screen, because it's creating it vertically down the screen. The next one here is to the range that we would set it for, and 1279 stays within that 256K boundary. And what this first line is doing right now is this is just going to zero out the first digits. If I don't zero this out, let me show you what happens if I put 255 in this. Let me see, actually, PMBASE plus 1024. Oh, I'm sorry, no, excuse me. This is actually the PMBASE area. I was trying to see if I, no, I never cleared this one out. I was going to show you how to, what I'll do is I'll turn off the other thing here. Give me 1 second here. 1280, this is the first one. This is the line that reads it. So 1024 plus 50 plus 1024 plus 50 plus 9. So I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to reverse these lines so this comes out correctly. 40 and 35. And then this, relist this. So I'm basically setting on top the reading first, so we read the graphics in for the player, and then we can kind of change this into a line right below him. If you remember earlier when I ran it, it was showing the whole player on the screen. I'm talking about the flying saucer one. Now, if this works correctly, it should draw a line right underneath him. See if that happens. It'll take a second here. Actually, they didn't draw him on the screen. It just turned him into a long line, basically. So this is what you do, is you're defining a player missile graphic in this area, obviously. And you're just changing the bits that are set up in. And right now, this is all the way across. It's 255 bytes in size. And then you go in and you manipulate the bits. If you put zeros in it, it'll put blanks in here. So let's go back and put that player back in there. And reverse the lines, make it easier for myself. And it's 255, which I explained earlier, which draws the line. Let me show you something else now. I'm going to put a 1 in it this time. Let's see, this might do it right here. Let's see if it draws a line down the screen. It should. Okay, that's what I was trying to show you earlier. Okay, so we got the player, and what we've done is we've drawn a line straight down the screen because that's what I defined in that player missile graphics area. Let's scoot this in closer. I never get this display to look very good here. I'm going to try changing the background to black. I think that'll probably work better. Just add that into the program here. Black always shows up easier. Better resolution. Well, maybe not much easier, huh? No, it's kind of blurry. Scoot back a little bit. And I might not be able to get much more out of this. Scoot this TV back a little bit more. Sorry for the delay here for a minute. I just wanted to pause and try to get this coming in better. Obviously, when I project this from my camera to the LCD here, it's not picking it up here. This is also in the daytime here, so it's not picking up perfection, and you can't really see exactly what this looks like. It looks like a blur, and this looks like a blur, but it's not actually a blur. It's actually a graphic. So, anyways, the line we drew down the screen here. Let's change that line again, and I'll show you. I'm going to do some different things with it here. So going back to the program here. Right here, the 1. This time I'm going to move the line on both. I'm going to put a line on both sides. It's going to have 2 lines going straight down the screen. One on one side and one on the other. Watch. See, now there's 2 lines going, one on each side, because we just defined what this is basically doing. And I've showed this in another video, but I'm going to pull out my graph paper here and show you what this is doing exactly. So, this is the examples I used from the other day when I was just showing you how to set up your own graphic designs. And on my papers, So if you look here at the top, the numbers, let's see. Right there, you see where it says 128, 64, 32, 16, all the way across there. The first one here says 128. We're using that number to fill in, and we're using this number all the way in the end, 1. So 128 plus 1 equals 129. That's basically what I just did here. I changed that to 129 just to show you that's how it's drawn into the screen. So you can kind of change how it looks. Now obviously we don't want to have two straight lines unless we're going to use a tractor beam on this alien ship. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to erase that. Put it back to 0. That will individually wipe out the bit because the 0 is off while 1 is on. And now it's going to be back the way it was. Okay, so now we're back. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on, we're going to change the center line here, which is the second player missile graphic. I'm going to turn this into that little man I showed you here on the back here. Right there. I'm going to put that into the computer and we're going to see if we can get that man to show up on the screen. So, let me work at this. Oops. Before I do that, let me explain actually how that's being done here. I know I kind of skipped a step there. Right here on the next line, it says Initialized Player Missile Base Storage Area. So this is initializing where we're going to define the graphics at. So what this is doing is it's taking, again, if you remember by the earlier example where I showed you the player missile base of 1024, which is where it starts, goes down 50 lines here, and it moves over to 1279 plus 255. This is the 0. Actually, this is what I wanted to show you. So we'll go to this one, 1024 plus 50 to 1024 plus 50. So we're still down at the same line here, and then we're adding 9 to it. And that's what actually allows you to draw that alien ship on the screen here. And it's basically an extraction of the ball. If you look down here, the bottom, I have the ball, and I just basically added some few lines underneath it to make it look like an alien ship. And you can see that a little bit. And if you look at those numbers also, pay attention here on the side. Where is that? Right here. See the numbers here on the side here? The 0, 16, 56, 124, 124, 124, 56, 16. If you look back here on the screen here, down here, this is where I defined the data for it. So 0, 16, just like you just saw in that player missile example. So let me relist this. Actually, I got it all on the screen here. Good. Okay, so that's what I wanted to demonstrate. So what this is doing is it's going down to this line. Whenever you do a read in BASIC, it's going to read the data statement where you've set up your data. So basically, it's reading this right now, and B is going to become the first byte, first number, if you will, in the data statement. So right now, when it first reads B and it goes through this loop as it's calculating and looping through it the first time, it's going to equal 0. And it goes through the second time. When it hits the next, it's going to increment back here to the next I, and it's going to equal 16, and then it's going to be 56, and then the B is going to become 124. This is basically how it's building everything into your poke. And poke is how you get information into the computer's memory for a lot of different things. To describe it, basically it's poking in addresses. In this case, it's poking in your player missile graphics area where it was located at the address that we indicated. And it's reading it into this data statement. So as it's reading it in, if you could picture the alien ship being drawn line by line by line, that's basically what this is doing. It's drawing it line by line by line until it's complete. The next area, I kind of went over this earlier, we played with this. This is just how you clear out the player missile graphics. We can probably skip down from this one. Actually, I had it up here. I think this line, this is for the second alien ship. This is the one we're going to modify in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to also explain some other important concepts you want to know about player missile graphics, which is the location. So, when you use poke 53, 248, comma 72, this is going to position your character horizontally over the screen from 0 to 72. So anywhere if you change this number, we can move that ship around. And let me demonstrate that right now. So we had him earlier when he showed up, he was like way in the corner here. So I'm going to move this number and put it up. You can't go past 255 though. 255 would be off the screen, so 72 will be over there, and let's say maybe 152, It'll be pretty close to the other player. I think it might overlap. Let's see. Let me move back a little. 132 might do it. Now let's rerun that. See? He moved over. He was originally here, and now the ship is sitting real close to the line. Remember, this one's at 156, I think, and this is at 152, so they're pretty close together. You can actually achieve animation too by changing that value in it, and I'll probably be able to show you that if I have time here. Alright, so that's the position. The next thing here you're looking at, I think I went over this earlier, but this is how you change the color. And you can, right now I have him at a bright color, so let's change this number, and I'll show you what happens. Since he's kind of bright, I'll kind of dim him out here because it'd be kind of hard for you to really see it otherwise. Oops. I'll just turn it to 55, I think that'll do it. See, now he's kind of an orange color. We just changed him. Originally he was a yellow, now he's an orange. This right here is actually set into priority. I know I kind of skipped down from this line, but this is setting the priority, or if you want the player missile graphic to pass in front of or behind another. I'll probably have to demonstrate that with an animation technique to really show you that. I could actually do this to show you too, though. Let me just do this, see if he goes right behind the player. So the other one, the other line we have down on the screen there, that's right over to the right here, is this one right here. So it's at position 150. So if I set it probably maybe 148, I might put him behind or in front, depending on how I have this set. Okay, so this is in front. You see, you can't tell right now. This is probably not even going to go even show you how to do behind, but actually the orange thing is sitting here in front. It's not actually behind the line. And you can make it pass over other players, kind of achieve that illusion. So I think, okay, let me explain this one too. This is actually the, I'm going to grab the mapping book here again. It needs to display priority, but let me just look that up here to make sure. I'm looking it up in that mapping, the Atari book again. It's right here though. Come on, we're going to lose this. It says direct memory access. Enable poking with 0 allows you to turn off and it can speed up processing by 30%. And let's see what it says about player missile graphics here. It's right there at the bottom. Just still for a minute. If you look there, it says this location is a shadow register for 54,272, and the number you peek above defines the place field size, whether or not the missiles or players are enabled. Player size resolution. Enable your options used by using poke button, then simply add up the values below to obtain the correct number to poke into SDML CPL. Choose only one of the 4 playfield options. So it's basically setting up the playfield. Man, I can't read this thing. It's called what do we have here? Whether or not the missiles or players are enabled. I think it's enabling the players and how many you're going to have on the screen or something like that. The standard playfield. It's a little bit more complicated, but it basically sets up the resolution correctly for the player missile graphics. And let's go ahead and recreate that other character from the second player missile graphic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the data statements first. I'm going to actually ignore all these ones down here. I'm going to erase these. These are just from something I was doing from before. Let's erase them right now since we don't need them anymore. Okay. And we're going to create our new player missile. And remember, once again, the player missile we're creating now is the man here that was the cowboy extraction. And those values. 2 or 3. Okay, so how many do we have here? Earlier we had 9, so you count 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's for this one. So we're going to create a line just like this one and add it underneath this one. It's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it should be 14 if I'm correct here. I'm just going to reduplicate this other line to speed up things here. And I can just type it in. Okay, so for I equals PMBASE plus 1280 plus 50. Base plus 1280 plus 50 plus, I say with 19. 3B, okay, comma B, next I. I'm going to calculate that here. I'm going to save this just in case. You always want to save just in case something's going wrong when you lose your program. Let's save that first. Okay. Run it. So we don't get an error message here. It'll take it a little longer. Oh, we got an error, so we probably put too many digits in. So saying 52, and that's exactly where it was reading in our data. So I was going to forget the count. 0, 1, 2, 3. It was actually 15. If you want to see something also, if you want to see what the values are showing, you can actually output the variable names down here, and it'll show you the numbers. This is the address for the player missile, which is 36864. And earlier we were reading in the value of B, so I was reading in these individual bytes into the poke address memory. And you can just actually sit there and print the variable value, which I have B, and it'll say 102, and that would show you it actually read in everything, but it kept going past that because I had it up to 19. Should work correctly now, hopefully, if I made any other mistakes. Yeah, actually I gotta move him, but he's right there in the background. Let me move the other guy all the way. Also, I need to clear his background as well. Alright, so where's the clear area here? 1280, 50... Oh, I had the 255 on still. Did I duplicate that line? Looks like I did. Just notice I just duplicated this line here. So I'm just going to erase one of these. And 0 off the bits. And then we're going to move the location back for the other guy again. I think maybe 84 would be good. Try it again. Oh, and I made some mistakes. You won't be able to see if there's actually some lines being drawn. Oh, no, that is correct. Actually, I forgot that's how the player missile actually... Look, I actually like them better that way. These kind of, I wish you could see it, and this is kind of a horrible example. You can't get the resolution any better than this. There was the only way I could really show you. That's why I used the graph paper and everything to kind of demonstrate, see if the light would do anything. And that makes it worse. But this little thing right here actually is a man, believe it or not, it's not a dot. And it looks just like the example I showed you earlier. Where's that? Right there. It looks pretty cool. I like it. I'm going to probably use it in my next game. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to change... Hey, look at that. It just came in almost perfect. I don't know what I just did. My camera just like focused it. Now you can see it pretty good. So let me see if I can move this up a little bit. not going to have any room to move. I just wanted to show you what it's going to look like. And if I don't plug the TV here and move it up a little bit, now you can see what it looks like. See? Came out pretty good. So, what we're going to do is I had mentioned the animation. I want to get into that before this gets too long. I want to show you how to change the size of these things. I'll just do it right here, real time, instead of going into the program. 53256 is a location for this alien ship right here, and we're going to change the size. If you put it back to 0, he'll shrink. He looks like a balloon now. If you put it to 1, it'll increase it upon each priority. So this one, actually I think 3 is the one that makes them real large. There's super large. Now he looks like a flying ship. And the other one is just a memory set for the next memory location in sequence, which is code 53257. And you can do the same thing with this one. 0 is the default. 1 increases the size. 2 puts him back, and 3 will make him real fat like the other one. Now he's kind of a fat looking. You ever seen the Atari game Mountain King? This looks almost like Mountain King right now. Actually, if I add that little thing, if I add that little dot on top of his head, he'll be a spitting image probably of Mountain King. I'm so tempted to want to do that now. I could show you real quick though. It won't take a second to do it. I already know which data statement it is. We'll make them look pretty close. He's not going to be exactly, but to save some time here, it's going to be, the first line is going to have an 8 in it instead of a 0. We're going to read that in and rerun it. And you should have that little hat part of the Mountain King. It looks pretty close to what Mountain King looks like. I just lost the priority on this computer thing. Come on, it was doing so good. Yeah, I cannot control this camera. I don't know when it's going to come in and when it's not going to come in. It is the most weirdest camera on earth. It's just like, if I move this, maybe I'll get lucky. Man, I wish it would come in. There it goes. I moved my TV and it came in. So, I'm going to change the size of him so you can see him a little bit better. There's a little thing sticking out of his head there. So. Now you can see the little thing on top of his head. It looks like Mountain King. If you've seen him in Mountain King and Atari, you're looking at the same guy. If I change him white right now, 705 will change his color. There, he looks just like Mountain King now. And it just came out a little focus here. It's probably too bright. Let me just set that down a little bit. And he's like an orange Mountain King. So I'm going to show you a little bit of animation. I'm going to go back to our program here. We're going to just move that alien ship across the screen. I'll find a place to put this at. Put it at 90. I'm just going to use a variable called X. You can use any variable you want. And scoot this back a little bit. I hope I don't lose the resolution again. But. So we're going to set him at the location where he starts at. I could just like set him at 45 or whatever. Then we're going to move him all the way across the screen to about, I think 185 might keep him on the screen. Or X, no, not X, 53, 248, X is the position where he's going to move at. Whenever you're moving a character, you want to set a delay in it. If you don't, he's going to, I could do it probably without it, but he'll move a little bit faster. So you'll see him move immediately once the program starts running here. Did you see that? He just moved across the screen. Let's try it again. See? He moved across the screen. And then we can move the man, doing the same thing. And do it right here. I'm going to move him backward actually. Let's see what location he's sitting at right now. He's at... Oh, you know what? It ended, so it's not going to let me see the value here. I was going to set it in the program, I guess. So we'll move him, and immediately afterward we'll move the man, so like a 94 or something. Y equals, okay, X equals, what's this position? 150 to 45, step -1. Whenever you want to move backward through a for loop, you would use the step -1. And basic, that will allow you to go backwards. So what this is doing right now is it's starting at 150 and it's going backward in step increments of 150, 149, 148, 147. Another thing you can do too is you can increment it by 2 steps instead of just starting at 1. It'll go from 150, then it'll go back to 148, 146, 144. So it's basically skipping 2 increments. Now let's see, where's our player at? He's at 249. Let's save this program again. So what this is doing right now is it's finding the horizontal position of the command we created on the screen, Mountain King if you will, and it's going to move him backwards. So while the alien ship moves this way, after it's done, the man should move back that way. There goes the alien ship, and there goes the man. That's basically how you get them both moving. So let's see if I covered up anything else. I could do vertical movement. It's a little bit more complicated though, and it would actually work a lot better in assembly. But there's a way to move them. I'm saying vertically. Yeah, vertically down the screen. It just involves setting up where you set the player missile graphic at here, and then you would basically be moving the individual bits inside of here. But at the same time, you'd have to keep track of where the man is being played at. The best way to actually do this, instead of trying to read it every time into a data statement, is to set it up in actually something known as a string. Since it's going to be time consuming, I won't show you all that right now. The video is 37 minutes. But to give you an example, let's say 38, and then we would have ships equals like this. You would put and 1, 1 or something like that. However long it's going to be. If it's going to be 10 characters, you would just put 10 characters, and it's usually going to look like funny characters like this. Let's say, as an example, and then you can read this value. So it's going to basically pick up the ship location where it's being placed at vertically on the screen, and it's going to draw that entire player in, and it's going to allow him to move on a vertical movement. And the other cool thing about using it this way, to set it up in a string, is actually you won't have to redefine the data statements. You won't have to read anything. You can immediately draw that player in here, and it'll allow the ship to move. I could probably do it here. One of them is just gonna, I'd have to look up all the individual character, or what are known as the axis characters, to do this, since these are actually axis characters being produced to the screen. I wanted to see if I knew how to do this. I know, let's just do it with 1, for example, and I'll just show you what it'll do if I change like the character in here. So we'll use this one. Oh, I need to do it 8, was it 9 across? 9. So you probably use one of these down here, might work too. Oh, that's going to do, so I need to make sure it's 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 3. So it's basically going to read that into an area that we define in the player missile graphic. And let's see, where we set it equal to the poke value. You actually have to convert it to get it to turn into a number. Let me see, if I print address ships. Oh, I forgot the most important thing is you need to define the dimension for the ship. I have it at what? 1, 10. Oh. I'll have to run this if it's going to work correctly. Okay, so let's print that value. So you basically put in all those characters into the array that I defined, the string array. And then you would print the address of the ship like that. And you can read this value into memory to allow it to define the characters on the screen. I'm not going to do it on this one, but it is a way to speed up to get the graphics on the screen. Because this video has become so long, I really don't want to go into too much more. It's going to be over people's heads is the way I know I can really get carried away with this stuff. I wanted to cover a few other things and see if there was anything else I needed to go over here. We could do a third player on the screen too, but it's the same way. You just set up the PMA, the player missile base, and you basically just set up wherever that address is going to happen. 1020 for 1280. I think the next one is 1536, and you just define it from that point on. But you can use this program as a model for building your own player missile graphics. You have my permission. While I take a look at this book. We could do collision. I probably won't cover that one this time. Just kind of keep this one basic for now. Okay. I think that's about all I'm going to cover for this video. We're running short of time here and I got other things to do today. But that's how you would set up your own player missile graphics in general. Just like I showed you here. So go ahead and try it out and use this program to go ahead. It's pretty short or whatever, and just start creating your own player missile graphics. You can kind of just animate them. Actually, that brought me to one more point. I wanted to show you some of the let's take this a step up. I wanted to show this to you. I made it earlier, but I was afraid I was pressed for time, but I could probably still do it. Let's see. We'll choose a high resolution, like 7. Let's see how this one looks. This is going to pick graphics mode 7. Actually, this is probably a bad example. I don't know where these little dots came from. This is what I was talking about earlier, where player missile graphics, if you define them in the wrong boundary area, it's going to pick up other areas. So this is basically picking up parts of those player missiles in here. So probably not a good place we want to start at. Since it's defining and run into, I could probably use maybe, I hope 4. I want to get the dots kind of small on the screen to demonstrate something here. This one's going to be good. So we use 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little star field here. Kind of makes this look like an outer space kind of thing. I'm going to move these data statements down a little bit. Oops. Make some room for them. I think you'll really enjoy this. This is going to look like the beginning of a video game, I guess, if you will. So, get these out. Focus camera. So, I'm going to start at 100, now that we erased that. And we're going to use, if you recall, in my simple game video where I showed a little box on the screen. If you haven't watched, I'll pull it off of my channel and watch that one. It demonstrates a little animation technique where you can move the joystick around with a little box and stuff like that. We're going to basically use another graphics mode, which is our next one up, which is 4, to kind of create like a star field. Hopefully it looks correctly here. If the dots are not too big, it should look correct. I could probably use graphics 8 too now that I thought about it. So I'm just going to use a variable called A, and we'll start the play field. Reminds me, I need to look up the size of the play field. I don't know it, how far it is across. It's back here at the beginning of this book. Give me 1 second here. I'm sorry for the delay. This is a good book for it or not. Let's see. I'm trying to find out the screen dimensions for the graphics for 4. I could probably guess at them here. I wanted to see if they were in the book. This is a pretty cool book though. Okay, mixing graphics. I think this one kind of a little bit more advanced. go to the back maybe. It might be in the back. I don't find it in a sec here. I'm just gonna abandon it and we'll just finish on here. I don't like putting long pauses in. So here's a lot of the graphics mode examples I have in this book. Let's see if I have 4 in this one. I have 9. What you see in this program here at the bottom, where it says graphics 9, that program right there, it kind of does a pretty cool trick. One below it continues on the next side here. These are actually individual, if you want to type them in later you can. They're individual graphics programs that do some pretty cool stuff on the screen. So what I'm trying to do is find out the resolution for these graphics modes, how far across and how far down they go. So first of all, we're just going to kind of guess at that. So I'm going to move over A to maybe about 60. And this is going from 0 to 60 across. And I'm going to teach you something else called a random variable. Guess what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to guess how high and far down the screen goes. I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe 80, maybe it's too far. And then we're going to use color 1, and then plot A for how far over we're going. And then we're going to use a new variable called R. And what this one is doing right here, this is a random variable, so it's going to pick a location in between 0 and 80. And this is basically going to pick, because I have this plotted on the vertical, it's going to basically pick a position in here between 0 and 80 and plot it somewhere on the screen. If this looks correctly, it should put a star field on the screen. Let's see. And that might be it right there. Let's try it out. But first it's going to do all the animation because we still have that in there. Let's see if it draws the play too. So I got an error message here. Let's print my values and see which one might be going out of range. I think it's the R. 70 is probably too far down. Put it about 60. And we'll move this one over. See if that's 60, that might be 100. Let's try that. There, it started moving over. I still got an error message. I'm trying to move the dots all the way across the screen, but I keep getting in this here. Let's see. A, comma, R. So let's see, they're 15, probably too far down. I can go farther than that too. So let's try 40. There it goes. Okay, so now we got like a little star field going on, and you can kind of do this kind of cool stuff, and it kind of steps up your program a little bit. And you can have the joystick hooked up, you can have the spaceship moving around, and just basically create your own game simulation. That's all I'm going to go ahead. I got an error message because it's still trying to find out the value out of the screen here. That's all I'm going to go ahead. With this one, I'm going to kind of pull the plug on that for now. But like I said, go ahead and set up your own player mesh graphics, kind of work with them. They're really cool once you really start playing with them. And yeah, if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe. It looks like I gotten some attention with these videos, so I think that's a good thing. Maybe we can bring the Atari back, you know, bring the 80s back, so to speak. So thank you for watching.